All right. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Ah, welcome, good people from wherever you are. Another day. What a crazy time. Just things are crazy, man. Today is Friday, April 10th, 2020th, 2020. And the reason I'm saying this is because if I didn't look at a calendar, I probably wouldn't know the day or the date. Uh, Alcohol sales in Bangkok, Thailand are suspended from April 10th to April 20th. 10 days, no booze. I feel for the people who need it. Uh, and what I want to know is, are the current guidelines working in Thailand? Possibly. Will all travelers, once this is over and done with and they open everything up, will all travelers need a fit to travel or some kind of a digital certificate or app on their phone in order to cross borders? This goes for just about anywhere. I'm wondering if it's Thailand, United States, wherever. Is this going to be the norm? I'm kind of curious to know this. Now, before I get into everything, I got this comment yesterday. A guy says, no disrespect meant, but your reposting of old blog videos filling my YouTube is annoying, almost on verge of deleting because of it. And if you decide to, probably not first or last, as a few doing same reposting their old videos. Guess everyone's bored. Now, a guy replied to him and said you might want to use some punctuation because I don't know where he's from or who he is, never seen him before. Uh, but it was just one long run-on sentence. And what he's talking about is, yesterday I went onto my channel and I was looking looking at all the videos and everything. I was basically looking for all the videos that had been demonetized, and I saw some that were unlisted. So I set them to public, and I guess he was notified of these videos and streams going public. It was not intentional. I did not mean to, flood somebody's email box. I didn't have any intention of trying to give people some new videos because they're bored. I mean, sorry, but I'm just telling you the truth. So I apologize for that if anybody else had that happen to them. The following stream and all videos on this channel are brought to you by my Patreon patrons, website VIP members, and all your contributions. Today's shout out goes to Jorge or George. I'm not sure how you're supposed to say it, but thank you very much for watching and supporting the channel. I appreciate it, especially in these times. And also, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Mitch. Glad to hear you're semi-okay. Right now, he's in the middle of some medical issues, and they have to be postponed because of all this chaos that's going on right now. So hang in there and, you know, uh, be well. What's happening, everybody? What's happening? If you'd like to support my channel, head over to americaninbangkok.com/Scott, or just look in the description. There's a number of ways you can do so. As of 7:55 today, the temperature was 84 degrees Fahrenheit, high of 95, low of 83. It feels like 99. Man, it has been so brutally hot here. When I know that it's really hot when my air conditioner is set to be as cold as it can go, and yet it's still a little bit too warm. It's not cold enough. Uh, Now, this air conditioner is not huge, but still. Chance of rain, 10%. Humidity, 80%. Winds east-southeast, 2 miles an hour. Visibility, 6 miles. UV index is 1. The air quality index is 67, which is moderate. So, one thing that you can say, one positive, one of very few positives right now is the what is this? One positive is that the Earth is getting a respite. Now, I just got a message from PayPal, and they're saying millions of businesses around the world and the people who run them have been affected by the virus. Those businesses are vital to both local and global economies. To help ease the impact of these recent events on business, we are waiving fees on chargebacks. Okay, extending customer dispute resolution period. Okay, so they're doubling it for what that's worth. Extending seller protection to cover intangibles. Over the coming weeks, we'll be helping businesses around the world by working to simplify digital payments and helping more businesses online. Now, I can't help but think that that they're doing this and maybe they're getting some money from the U.S. government, so that helps them to do that, and I think that's what it's intended for. We'll find out. So, let's see here. What are we going to talk about today? Well, we got a few subjects. No booze, obviously. No repatriation, and no travel. Now, let's start out with the booze. That's a big one for a lot of people, and I never have got the logic of why the Thai government bans so many people from purchasing alcohol, or the times. During normal times, you can't purchase alcohol from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And also, let's see, what is it? 11 a.m. What is it? Between the hours, you can. I'm not a big drinker, but when I have wanted to, you can buy alcohol between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Is that what it is? Let's see here. But every time, it seems that, yeah, and then from 5 p.m. to, what is it? Let's see here, 5 p.m. to midnight, okay? So, let's say that you go out early in the morning and you want to get a couple of cases of beer. You can't do it. Good morning. If you want to go out and pick up a couple of cases of beer early in the morning, you want to head out and go somewhere with your pals and have a big party during the day, guess what? You can't do it. Now, what you can do is buy it the night before, but obviously that takes some foresight. And I don't understand this. And now they did do this rather quickly, because what happened was I was taking a breather. I had done a few things, and I'd help Alex with a few things, and I was just chilling out watching something on the boob tube. And then I get this message. I noticed my line had blown up, and I got a bunch of messages from different people. But I got a message from Jono, Mr. Jono, who's probably still asleep right now. And he was freaking out because because he likes to have his booze. He likes to have his beer. And he sent it at what time? 4:20 in the afternoon. I don't know exactly what time they declared that there was not going to be any more booze, but this is apparently only in Bangkok. But they're trying to discourage get large gatherings, which, okay, so yeah, like I said, if you were to buy something in the morning, you go out with a group of 10, 12, 20 people, and everybody wants to party, you got 10 cases of beer or something like that. I guess if you don't have ample time to stock up, then fine. But yesterday there was a mad rush for 7-Eleven, a mad rush for the mall. mad rush around Bangkok to get booze. So in doing that, what I was thinking is, in doing that, you also are encouraging people to go out and to go get their booze because they want it. And even listen, my wife and I, we got a bottle of wine here. We got plenty of tequila, and I got one little bottle of rum. And she was like, "Oh, does that mean I can't get any more wine?" Now, I tried to get some wine through the grab, what do you call it? The Happy Fresh, not the Grab Food, but Happy Fresh app. And a couple of the stores wouldn't allow me to even add the bottles of booze or the the wine, and I think I wanted a couple of beers, and they wouldn't allow me to add those into the cart. And then I got one that was into the cart, and then it was supposed to be delivered today. So I thought, I know what's going to happen. They're going to call me up and say, "We're sorry, sir, we can't deliver it." So, well, unless you're an alcoholic, this is probably not a huge issue, but people want to drink. And I know that foreigners, they just don't understand this. Now, I don't know, from what I know of, Thais like to drink. They like their whiskey. They like their Singha. They like their Sangsom. And so, maybe it is, I don't know, because people like to drink in America. I mean, so I don't know what the deal is. It says alcohol is now proscribed for about, I don't know what they're trying to say, proscribed for about 16 million people, as others among the nation's 77 provinces have already imposed curbs. Thailand as a whole is under a state of emergency and partial lockdown through April. We ask that all you cooperate. Pongsakorn Kwan Muang, a spokesman for the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, said in a briefing on Thursday, "We're about to gain control over the spread of the virus." I sure hope so. Officials are trying to entrench social distancing to beat the pathogen that causes COVID, with roughly a quarter of Thailand's 69 million people under alcohol prohibitions. Even before the outbreak, majority Buddhist Thailand imposed relatively strict rules that block the sale of beer, wine, and spirits during specific hours. Yeah, I never have got that. So I'm curious to know. I got 46 people watching right now, which is great. But I'm curious to know how many people out there, when they come to Thailand, they want their beer, and they've experienced what I've experienced several times. Too many times to count, where I'm out, and I think to myself, "Oh, I could use a beer." Or maybe I get some wine, and we just get some wine, and we have a little bit of wine at the home. So if I want a glass of wine, I have a glass of wine. And then you go to the place, you go to the booze section, and it's either taped off, or like in the Mall Bankabi, they have a separate place outside of the grocery that just sells nothing but alcohol. And it's closed. You can't get in. They won't sell it to you. And you're like, okay, well, now I got to come back. So what does that do? It makes me say, if I really want it, I'm going to have to come back, or I'm going to have to stick around. Now, usually, unless it's right near the time that they're going to open, I won't. I won't stick around. I'll just go home, and then I won't come back. So they lost the sale. Okay, maybe they saved some lives, I guess, because who knows what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out and drive a car and go crazy? No. So I don't understand. Maybe they just think that What I always say is it's the daddy thing. It's the big brother. They're trying to make sure that the people behave. And I think people are going to behave whether they have a government looking over them or not. Now, I mean, obviously, if you have a government like the CCP in China, if you don't listen and you don't do what they tell you, you might get shot, or maybe in some cases in the Philippines. But I've never got this. I've never understood it. But it's their country. their laws. And fortunately, I'm not a big drinker. So it's just something to think about. Maybe trying to cut back on gatherings for Songkran. Well, all the Songkran festivals have been canceled. They have a water shortage. So they really didn't, even without this that's going on, they really did not need to have Songkran. I mean, if they really wanted to be smart about this, I would say, listen, you got a drought. What are you going to go and have a festival where you're going to spray all kinds of water and waste water? But people have been saying that for years, and they always seem to be okay. So I don't know. You know, like I always say, what do I know? But yes, people may gather, and this is a problem, the gathering. And maybe, you know, they're doing this because, you know, the smart way to look at it is, yes, it's the 10th through the 20th, which is the time when people normally are going home for Songkran. They're partying with their friends, and maybe this will curb that a little bit. This very fact that they go and hang out with a bunch of people, whether they drink or not, is something that's harmful. It's obviously, you know, if you go, and this is one thing. I mean, you know, when I went to the grocery, I mean, you talk about, I mean, it was overkill for me. You know, I go in there, I got hand cleaner in my pocket, I got alcohol in my pocket, I got wet wipes in my pocket. I'm wearing a mask. I'm not touching my face. And I still felt a bit fearful. I mean, to be honest, I am scared of contracting this and then croaking from it. Because what really frightens me, it's not like what if it was something where I got it and then maybe, you know, a year later it was like, sir, you have 6 months to live. I would be okay. I have some time to deal with it. But with this, if you get it, you can feel okay, and then a few days later, you start taking a turn for the worse, and maybe you go, oh, I'm going to go into the hospital. You go into the hospital, and they put you in, they admit you, and then less than a week later, 4 or 5 days later, you're dead. So as soon as you get it, you think, I mean, this would be me. I'm going to think, how long do I have? I mean, you know, because I always think of what is the best case scenario. Okay, I'm just going to make it through. I'm going to have to tough it out. I'm going to have to be mentally aware of everything that's going on with my body and try to fight it. Not to say that that's gonna do it, but once you get it, I mean, how can you help but think that? How can you help but wonder if you're going to die? Good evening, all. Bangkok Market and the mall look sad, unbelievable in the grocery video. Yeah, I mean, you know, the whole place, you know, it's just a big empty building with the grocery, and then there was a little area outside where there's 2 pharmacies that were open. One was a privately owned pharmacy. The other one was Watson. I don't know who owns them, but and then there was a way to go to some other places inside. But I don't know if the banks are open inside the mall. I'd have to ask my wife. I'd imagine so. But you know, they really want to know what you're doing. And what I found kind of odd was that they had this thing outside in the front that I think it was alcohol that you walk through, and it sprayed a fine mist of it on you, supposedly to counteract the virus. And I don't know how well it works, you know, but it was like this space age thing. And when I heard there's a voice coming in saying this spray is to sanitize you from the COVID-19. As soon as I heard that, I just thought, man, I'm living in the future. That's how I feel. I feel like I, you know, this is 35, 40 years ago and I'm watching some science fiction movie, and you see these movies where they have kind of, like badly made sets where you can kind of tell that maybe everything is plastic or whatever, but there's always lights, and they have, all these like zombie like people walking around. You hear this voice over the loudspeakers telling them where to go and what to do. And I thought, man, I really hope that's not where we're headed. Made me think twice when I walked through that thing. Really is. So what I want to know though is this going to work? Because obviously it doesn't really matter. I can't do anything about it. But will it work? Because people need their booze. They need it when they need it. And now is a stressful time. And most people drink a little more during stressful times. So, it's something to think about. No booze and you're stressed out, and people going, I just need a drink. I want some beer. I want to, give me that. I want that whiskey that I usually have every night. And they can't have it. And even my wife said, if we really want to drink, we have a little bit of wine. We have like one bottle of wine. And she said, we can always make a drink from your tequila. And I'm like, oh, I have to be in the mood for tequila. Tequila is something that, it's an acquired taste. And for me, I don't want to drink it all the time because then it becomes a bit disgusting. But if you drink it once in a while, it's an acquired taste. You can enjoy it. Surprised to hear about the drought situation there. Isn't that rare in Southeast Asia? Not in Thailand. No, it's not really rare. I believe Laos and Cambodia have had the same issues. I'm not so sure about Cambodia, but I think Laos. And some of it, I think, has to do with the Chinese government and their dams that they've created. I don't know how much that's affected the water flow and the water supply, but I know that it's caused a lot of problems, all the dams that they've made in the past few years. Even the Mekong is affected by that. So, all right, let's see here. All right, now, one thing that I noticed, I get these, I don't know if anybody else does, but I suggest you do especially if you're in Bangkok, but if you're traveling over here quite often, sign up for the alerts that come from the U.S. Embassy in Bangkok or wherever you are. You can sign up for the alerts. If whether you're an expat in Thailand or the PI or Cambodia, wherever it is, Vietnam, you can sign up for the alerts from the embassy, and then they send them to you by email. And one thing I noticed was the repatriation cost. And my buddy had talked to me before about this because he knew somebody who was down on their luck. They didn't have a pot to piss in, no money. They couldn't borrow any money. They didn't have any way to get home. So they went to the embassy, and of course the embassy, as they do, they refer them to someone else, which was, in his case, was, let's contact your family. We want to see that you can't get home. He's like, I can't. Okay, how about we contact some friends? Do you have any friends? No, I don't have any that can help me. So they flew him home. And basically what they do is they fly you home, and if you don't have the money, you can't leave the country until you pay that money off. So what I noticed let me see here. I've got the email right here. Let's see here if I can find it. Well, I had it. All right, I have it. Here it is. They have it in this email. It's in big, bright red letters. We strongly advise temporary visitors in Thailand to arrange for immediate return to the United States while there is still an opportunity. U.S. citizens who wish to return to the United States should make commercial arrangements as soon as possible unless they are prepared to remain abroad for an indefinite period. The U.S. government does not anticipate arranging repatriation flights from Thailand at this time. Such flights are a last resort, only considered after all commercial options are exhausted. U.S. Citizens are charged the fair market value for seats, normally at least the cost of a full fare economy ticket. Now, I checked on this. I did some research on this to check, well, how much is that going to cost? And what they say on their website is the cost is about $2,500. So if you want to get back home to the United States, it's going to cost you $2,500. You're not going to get a deal. You're not going to be paying $600-700. You're not going to be paying $800 or $1,000. You're not going to be flying on China Air or something like that, getting some fantastic price. You're going to pay full fare or more, which is you're going to pay $2,000-3,000. And then if you don't have that money, you're going to have to pay it back. You're going to have to figure out make some payment arrangement with them when you get back. And until you pay it off, you won't be coming back to Thailand or leaving the country. So, they're not doing you, I can tell you, from experience, I can tell you that the U.S. Embassy does very, very little to help their compatriots. The STEP program from the American Embassies Global, yes, I forget what it stands for, STEP, I can look it up real quick, but basically it's just a notification. It's a program where you put in your information, you enroll with the local embassy. You can do it online. It's a smart traveler enrollment program. Is that what it's called? Smart traveler enrollment program. Yeah, let me just, in fact, I'll give you guys this. I don't know how many people are watching that. Well, I hear a lot of people like from the UK and Australia who complain, but I also hear some who say, oh, they were so helpful, they got me back, and, And then, you see these news stories of some journalist who, was kidnapped or something like that, and they get back. They still charge them. They charge them. It's like, hey, what did I say? Rats, bats, or cats. Nobody flies for free. That's pretty much about what it is, Yeah, but I would definitely enroll in that, unless you're on the run. Then I don't think I would do that. But or you owe child support or taxes, and you're like trying to escape that somehow. Then I wouldn't enroll. But I would enroll if you're just the average Joe who's traveling, and it could help. But at least, at the very least, they can. They will do a little legwork for you. They will contact you. Give them a number, they'll contact people, that sort of thing. So you paid about $2,500 to get back. Oh wow. Sweden doesn't even offer any program to go back. Wow. For as much as you guys pay to your government, I would think that they would, but or they would at least offer some kind of I don't know. I don't know how many people are flying on their flights and stuff. I don't know. My trip interruption insurance will pay. And this is another reason, as I said yesterday, that I think people need to have insurance. I have enrolled here in Trinidad. Very helpful. Well, like I said, if you get into a bind, and I was in a bind once. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I was in a little bit of a bind. And basically, they just told me, okay, we're aware of what's going on. Nothing's going to happen probably, but we're aware of everything. And do you want us to call anybody? That was about it. So, I guess, I always say that, you got to try to rely on yourself. You can't rely on your government. And, I know, what is it that, what's his name, Kennedy, what did he say? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, or something like that. Did I say it right? Yeah, here we go. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Yeah, correctamundo. You're just joining the STEP program. I think it's important. Um, if at the very least, if you die, hate to say this, but if you die and you have some kind of identification, um, and you have some contact information in that STEP program, uh, the Thai government will contact the embassy and facilitate everything. They'll contact people back home. They'll do what they have to do, and they'll make sure of it. At least the people who are dealing with getting your body back and those kind of things will have some kind of an understanding on what they need to do. Emergency evac from Manila, 72 hours to get out or else. What? When is this? Now? Is that going on with you right now or what? I wouldn't want to be in the Philippines right now. And I have to say that, we're talking, while we're on the subject of repatriation, where did I go? I just saw this article here this was on CNN. U.S. citizens in Lebanon declined repatriation offer, saying it's safer in Beirut. Oh, I can't believe it. The U.S. is, their reputation is taking a bigger hit. Oops, let me set this off here. If anything starts, oh no, this is a photo. Or is it? Here we go. Carly Fugle. God damn it. All right, where are we at here? Carly Fluge was with a group of Danish friends in Beirut last month when she first considered moving back to the United States. They were preparing to leave Lebanon amidst fears of a major outbreak there and tried to convince her to do the same. But the 28-year-old humanitarian consultant from Montana decided to stay. After Lebanon closed its borders on March 19th to stem the spread of the global pandemic, she began furnishing her rooftop terrace. Her time in Beirut, she realized, would be indefinite. I made the decision for a combination of personal reasons and calculations about what was going on that we were all making. I think I'm probably safer here. It's a decision that several citizens in Beirut who spoke to CNN have echoed, citing skyrocketing cases in the United States. Now, here it is again with CNN. They don't say anything about the numbers have started to level off and started to drop a little bit. And this came out yesterday, or today rather. This just came out early in the morning. So here they are with that slant again. There was a Swedish couple that had to go through German embassy to find help to get out. They got no help from the Swedish foreign department. Wow. So did you get out, Alpharetta Jim? 3 weeks ago this happened where the emergency action, get out or else. Did you get out or what's going on? Where are you at now? Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, here we go. When the U.S. government last week said it would fly its citizens and permanent residents to the U.S. on a charter flight for $2,500 per person, some Americans took to Twitter to publicly decline the offer. And no, Mom, I'm not going. Beirut-based freelance journalist Abby Sewell wrote in a tweet. A twit? A twit? A twat? A twit? A tweet? A twat. Sometimes I think my brain is working too fast, but my mouth can't keep up. Or maybe it's the other way around. Responding to her tweet, a Lebanese journalist said, "For once, I'm like, no, America is not safer than here." Sewell's mother, Meg Sewell, replied, "Actually, for the moment, I might have to agree." Sewell tells CNN she never considered taking the U.S. Embassy's offer. From everything I'm reading, the situation is worse in the U.S. in terms of cases prevention measures or lack thereof, and how overburdened the health system is. I've been living overseas for years. I don't have health insurance in the U.S. now. So if I did go back and got sick, I would be looking at paying thousands of dollars out of pocket. Now, you know, this is, I got to call bullshit. I'm sorry. Oh, good. You got out and you're in Alpharetta. All right. Well, that's good. All right. Let me see here. I want to find something out, because this girl is from Montana. Okay. I know I went to the United States. Okay, here we are. Montana is I thought was one of the areas with a very low number. 354 total cases. 22 new cases, 6 deaths, 191 active cases, 340 total cases per, was that per thousand? Deaths, 6 per thousand. Total tests, 7,860. Okay. So, now, she's in Montana. There's 354. Let's see something. Because Montana is not a densely populated area. Let me see here. What is this? What is it? Montana. Oh. Has the lower, oh, they do have the largest grizzly bear population, so she has to worry about grizzly bears. But let's see here. What's the population? Can I get a little bit of info here? Where is it at? You know, I heard Bill Burr talking about how, you know, it used to be you ask for, you know, population of Montana, and you something pops up right away. Now it's you got to sift through stuff. There's always these things here. Estimated population. 1,068,778. So what does that work out to? 300. That's about 3. What is that? 3/10, 3/100ths of a percent of a chance of her being infected. Well, obviously that's probably not accurate because you don't know how many tests are being taken and people who are walking around without it. But the point is, she's complaining about how bad it is, and she's talking about she's from Montana. If she goes home to Montana, what kind of problems is she going to have? So I call bullshit on the CNN article. Now, I do feel kind of, at the moment, I feel more safe right here. If I was to go back, I'd go back to Florida, and the number in Florida is fairly high. They are taking precautions, though. I guess the only place I probably wouldn't go back to is New York. You know. By the way, Soy Dog, if you're still listening, how you doing? Because Soy Dog is right near the heart of the action, and I saw yesterday that something like 2 people a minute were dying, which is crazy. Good stuff. Where is, you know, Fidelity hasn't been around. Maybe he's listening. He's just doesn't feel like communicating. I don't know. Fidelity, what's his name? Jono, you know, he's probably knocked out. He's probably asleep this early. For people in Thailand, an 8 o'clock start time is not all that great. But I'll have to work something out. We'll see about that. So $2,500 to get back. That's from Lebanon. That's about the going rate. You know. Now I was wondering. I saw something about Bill Gates and some kind of digital certificate. Everybody's going to have a digital certificate about this virus, and do you have antibodies? What's the deal? Are you going to be able to show? This will show that you have antibodies in your blood, that you've had the virus, you're safe to go out. And then I saw a Reuters article that said that was a myth. It was false. And it just got me thinking about how in the future, who's to say? Now, he did say something about this dot. Let me see if I can reference the article. Who's to say that in the good morning. Who's to say that in the future that they're not going to do something, and they've already been working on this. They're not going to do something like insert a chip into, what is the deal here? They're not going to, that they may insert a chip like a baby is born. I wouldn't put it past them doing this in China, where a baby is born and they insert a chip that has her medical information, has a country ID, whatever it might be, national ID. And then for the rest of her life, she has it in there. And I don't remember the name of the movie. I do know there has been at least one or two movies that address this. And to me, that's kind of worrying because, if you think about it, the government, like, for instance, when Thailand said, okay, if you want to get back in, you have to show a fit to fly document, and that shows that you've been tested and that you are negative, right? So, when you think about this, now, what's to say that they couldn't say, sir, has your chip been inserted? Let me scan your chip, sir. You show it to them, it's in your hand, your arm, wherever it might be. And they're already testing this in Sweden. And then guess what? The government always knows where you are, what you're doing. And you know what? If you want to go in and out of the country, you want to get certain things, who's to say, hey, you want to file your taxes, you need to have that chip. You don't have the chip? Sorry. Who's to say they don't say that this is the best way to do things? No longer will it be on your phone, it'll be on your body. And what I believe, let me see, I want to reference this because I want to get this right here. Here we go, Bill Gates, I don't know if this is the one. He was talking about some kind of like a tattoo dye, just a dot. We'll use microchip implants to fight. No, this is not. Quantum dot tattoos. Researchers at MIT and Rice are working on as a way to hold vaccination records, digital certificates. It was last year in December when scientists from the two universities revealed that they were working on these quantum dot tattoos after Bill Gates approached them about solving a problem of identifying those who had not been vaccinated. Okay. So let me look at this here a little bit closer. Hopefully it won't. Storing medical information below the skin surface. Specialized dye delivered along with a vaccine could enable on-patient storage of vaccination history. Every year, a lack of vaccination leads to about 1.5 million preventable deaths, primarily in developing nations. One factor that makes vaccination campaigns in those nations more difficult is that there is little infrastructure for storing medical records. So there's often no easy way to determine who needs a particular vaccine. MIT researchers have now developed a novel way to record a patient's vaccination history, storing the data in a pattern of dye. Invisible to the naked eye, that is delivered under the skin at the same time as the vaccine. All right, now that to me is a bit crazy. All right, it's $2,500. That's one thing I wasn't thinking of, John. It's $2,500, and it's one way. It's not like, okay, you want to come back, it's a round-trip ticket. No, one way. 2,500 bones. That is extremely expensive. For some reason, I overlooked the fact that it was one way. But this quantum dot tattoo. Think about this. I wouldn't doubt that Chinese have already begun working on this or have already started implementing it, where they use a tattoo. It's an invisible tattoo, and this has all your information. It has a way to track you. So they know your every move. It tells them everything you're doing. I mean, who knows what the limits are on it? This is way beyond my expertise. But it doesn't sit very well with me. And one thing is that word invisible. So a kid could get a shot or a little, whatever it is, however they do it, with the little needle, with the, with the dye put in, invisible dye, nobody'd even know. Ugh. YouTube. YouTube is lots of problems with YouTube lately. I don't know why, but I've had some issues. I got issues. All right, there we go. We're back. So yeah, I'm curious to know what other people think. I'm not getting any feedback here, so I don't know what to say other than I don't personally like that. I don't like the idea of having a kid or my kid. Listen, I'm not having any more kids. I can tell you though, I don't want anybody sticking a needle in me to give all my personal information to them. What is there absolutely no more privacy? Is privacy a thing of the past completely? If you want to fly, guess what? If you don't have your quantum dot tattoo, you can't fly. Governments can say that. They can come to some agreement with other governments and just say, sorry, you can't get in the country without it. It has your passport information, your travel information, your health information, whether you've been in prison or not, whether you've, how many wives you've had, how many children you had. It could have everything. They could do that. And I'm not like this conspiracy, somebody who, believes in all these conspiracy theories, but when it comes to this kind of thing, I have my doubts. I think that the limits on it would be that they can configure the chip to kill you at the press of a button on a computer for any crime deemed extreme enough. That's the other thing. What's next? They're going to say, oh, guess what? We deem you to have done something illegal. You're in Texas, you smoke a doobie, and they know what you're inhaling into your body, and guess what? They're like, all right, that's it. We'll be there tomorrow morning to lock you up. What are you going to do? I mean, I believe what is going on with this YouTube? It's really irritating. So many companies in the States are using chip implants for security and more. Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating from a science fiction perspective. But I don't like the idea of it actually being implemented upon human beings. I mean, really, do you want somebody knowing everything? I mean, I don't have that. I don't really have. Well, I'm sure you were probably sleeping or jerking off or doing something. I don't know, something really useful. I want to take a closer look at that little laptop you got. I'd like to take a little closer look at the specs on it. I'd like to be able to take a little laptop out with me somewhere that's strong enough to be able to do everything I want it to do, powerful enough rather. My laptop is it's okay, but there are some instances when it's not, and I'm starting to find those out now, and it's getting harder for me to do some things with it. Even what's a RFID? What's RFID card to enter your apartment. Gave feedback to landlord on your coming and going. Yeah, what is that? RFID card. What's that stand for? I can't keep up with all these acronyms. You know, my mind is a sponge, but once it gets full, and it's already full, then it's very difficult for me to assimilate any more information until I like purge it somehow. And I can't purge it when I'm sitting at home all day, every day, not going out anywhere. Radio frequency ID. Got it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, why do they need to know? Why do they need to know when you're coming and going? I don't know, man. You know, I've said this before. Okay, keyless entry. Why don't you just give me the goddamn key? I'd rather have a key. You know, give me the goddamn key. They cost like $2. If you lose one, they cost like $2. And I've never lost a key and had I've never lost a key and had somebody break in with my key. Never. I've never had anybody steal my keys. So, I'm sorry, I don't get it. Yeah, I know, but you know, for a passport, all right, you know, listen, what are you going to do? You want to go into the country? You're going to need the passport. You want to come back into your own country? You got to have the passport. And they're updating it so that people can't keep counterfeiting passports to make it more difficult. I saw something about what's his name, Ronaldo, or was it Ronaldo, or Ronaldo Hino, or whatever his name is, one of the soccer stars. I don't, you know, football, soccer, whatever you want to call it. He was in Paraguay or something, and he got arrested because supposedly his passport was okay, but the information inside of it was not. Yeah, I don't buy into all this 5G bullshit. I'm sorry, I don't. I just don't. What? Why? You know, I don't even want to get started on 5G. No booze in Bangkok. No repatriation. You know, unless you feel like paying $2,500 for a one-way ticket. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I had to pay $2,500 to get back to America to save my life, all right, you know, whatever. It's not gonna be. I don't want to. I've never paid $2,500 for a ticket, a one-way ticket ever. I mean, I've flown first class, business class, economy, and I've never paid that much. And I've certainly never paid that much for a one-way ticket. Nobody is going to chip us by force, and you already do it voluntarily by carrying a phone everywhere. Yes, but you can get rid of your phone. If you want to, you obviously should know you don't have a phone. Yeah, well, I don't use Huawei, which one of my doctors that I saw used to just go, "Oh, this is the greatest phone." I'm like, Huawei? He's like, "Yeah, it's the greatest phone." And I'm so glad I never got one. I won't, you know, and now, like I've said before, I'm not going to buy anything Chinese anymore if I can help it. I mean, you know, they're TikTok, that's blatantly Chinese. There's no way in hell I'm gonna buy that stuff. It's one thing if a you know, a company uses components from China. That's bad enough. But you know, I don't buy into all this 5G bullshit. It's not 5G causing all these people to get sick. You know, there's very few countries with 5G. JL has tickets one-way tickets to LAX or San Diego for $719. Huawei. I don't care. Wait a minute. Let me see this. Who's this douchebag? Oh, God. Get out of here. You know what? I can't stand guys like you. Fucking idiot. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Stop the 5G! I'm a puppet! I'm a puppet! Yeah, right, I'm a puppet. Listen, buddy, I can tell you that you don't know jack shit about me. So if you think I'm a puppet, it just shows your stupidity. Actually, I think this guy believes his own bullshit. I don't think he's like coming in to troll me specifically. I think he believes his own bullshit. And there are a lot of people that believe all this conspiracy shit. Bottom line is, listen, I could believe that like this virus came from some biolab that was near the market. Who knows? The guy some scientist in the place could have left, went home, and decided he needed to get some food, and could have passed something on. I don't know. He could have taken a shit, and then somebody else went in and took a shit after him, and that guy caught it from him from his shit, and then he goes over and he's with the animals. I don't know. Who knows? Guy's probably choking his chicken. The chicken passed it on to the duck. The duck passed it on to the cow. The cow passed it on to the milkman. I don't know. None of us know. And this is the thing. And this is one of the problems and one of the weaknesses I see in human beings. I see it as a weakness. Is the need to know everything. We need to know where it came from. How did it originate? Okay, I know we want to try to stop that from happening again. But what the fuck is the point of doing that if the CCP just reopens the markets and lets things go back as business as usual? What's good is it? They did it with SARS, and they're doing it again. Now, one thing I wanted to say. I predicted that this ordeal was going to, the end was going to come around the middle of May. I didn't mean the very end, like everything's back to normal. What I mean is, what was that? Things will start getting back to normal. Things will start opening up. Businesses might start opening up. Countries might start opening their borders up again. That's what I meant. Okay? And even that, now, I look at it. And, there's a lot of deadlines that, okay, this is suspended, this is banned until April 30th. And May 1st, we'll take another look at it and see what we're going to do. I have a feeling they're going to re-extend everything. They're not going to just let people go back. And you know what? It hurts, but guess what? Like the United States, they're already coming up with some other stimulus bill. And I saw something earlier. It was on Forbes talking about a second. Let me see here. Is this it? No. A second stimulus bill. Where's it at? Can I find this information? See, this is why I need my kid to be around. Hey, pick this up. I need like two. I need like what's the guy's name that does Joe Rogan stuff? I need somebody like that sitting with me, and I don't have that luxury at this time because I don't know what I'm looking for, where it's at. Let me see if I can find it. But anyway, just to make here it is, right in front of me. This is Forbes. More coronavirus relief could be on the way, including a second round of stimulus checks, Goldman Sachs predicts. Wow. Consider that we expect 15% of the labor force to be unemployed in quarter 3. While nearly all households will receive the $1,200 per adult payment, this means that most of the $290 billion in payments will go to individuals not facing a job loss. I don't know, but this is long story short. They're predicting that there will be. Goldman Sachs expects the next stimulus package to encounter more political friction. It already is than any of the previous legislation. That's because of the legislation that was passed on an emergency basis, and moving forward, lawmakers will have more time to consider the full effect of the new bill on the federal budget. Goldman also notes that since Congress is likely to be in recess through late April. Any new bill is unlikely to be enacted before May. Listen, you know what? Congress needs to not be in recess. I mean, this is some bullshit. What are you going to be in recess for? You got an emergency. You got a pandemic, and you're going to go into recess. Oh, well, we're going to take a break now. Sorry, don't do that. These aren't regular fights. You couldn't or can't facilitate your own way out, so $2,500 is the price. Sure, it sucks, so pay for travel insurance or don't travel when there's a pandemic. Actually, like I said yesterday, I think that anybody who travels needs to have travel insurance, sufficient travel insurance, and I think that travel insurance is one of the areas that countries are going to crack down on in the future. You're not going to be allowed to get into a country unless you have that certificate from the insurance companies. That's one way that insurance companies can start to make some money back in the future, is the travel insurance. Now, a lot of people do get travel insurance. Most of the time I get travel insurance. Sometimes I don't. On a short trip, I usually don't, like a 2-3 day trip or overnight trip, but I probably should. But I have insurance, I have medical insurance that at least it covers me when I'm abroad. It's not fantastic insurance. But I think that the new norm is you're going to have travel insurance from now on. They're not going to just, oh, well, now we have a vaccine and everything's going to be, hunky-dory. There's no problem. So why don't you come on in? You don't have to have any travel insurance. No. I think in the future, most countries are going to say, if you don't have a health insurance, travel insurance that covers you in the country, you're not going to be allowed to travel. I think it's going to be more difficult to travel. Most U.S. pharma outsource prescription drug medication to China, notably antibiotics. This country is very vulnerable. Well, we've talked about that, and I know that, and we've also talked about how it's time to wean ourselves off the tit of China. China's tit, we've been on it for too long, as many other countries have been. China has had 3 major viral outbreaks in the past 15 years. They have to get their act together. Well, that's logic. Logic dictates you need to get your act together. However, the CCP doesn't operate based on logic. They base everything on what's good for us, what's good for the party. That's pretty much what they base everything on. Let's see here. Been living in the Philippines for years with my kids. Decided better to stay here instead of going back to Florida at this time. Yeah, one thing I thought of is, okay, let's say that I decide, you know what, let's go, wife loses her job, gets a big payoff, we have some money saved, and, I get a little money from the U.S. government or whatever. All right, that's going to pay for the tickets, and let's get out of here. And we go back, and then guess what? You got to start up. And then you got to be able to earn money when you're there. And for some people, that's not difficult. And I mean, I'm sure we would get by, which, that's not exactly the life that I envisioned for myself and my family. But, that's the thing about being here, is we have a better life than we would have in the United States for less money. But the thing that I would worry about is going back there and then seeing my parents, and maybe I get ill, and then I pass it on to them. I don't want that. And that alone makes me think that's good. That's something that's going to change. At least people who have half a brain, they're not going to want to go visit their elderly parents or grandparents when this is still out there, because unless there's a vaccine developed, our lives are not going to be the same, and people are going to keep dying. And a vaccine is really the answer. And I think that this is a stressful time for people, which is a good reason to, allow them to have their alcohol, I guess. I know it's not, but I'm just saying that. Give me a martini. I need a martini. And I think this is going to affect people for the rest of their lives. No one's going to forget this. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the smiling faces in the press briefings, and their little jokes and their little attempts at levity, they fall short. They're not really what you would call happy faces. They're kind of acting. They're putting on their brave face. Which, what do you want them to do? You want them to go up there and mope and say, the world is going to end? No, that's not what people want, Exactly, which is why I'm not going to St. Pete to see my parents. Yeah, I mean, extra, read all about it, miracle cure. Well, they're saying things like, oh, we've never had this kind of a response. It's always taken a long time. It could even take 10 years to develop some kind of vaccine. Did they develop a vaccine for SARS? No. Did they develop a vaccine for MERS? No. So what makes you think they're going to develop a vaccine for this one? I just have my doubts. Call me a pessimist. Call me what you will. Do you qualify for the stimulus check? Yes, I do. At least I think I do. We'll see, but I think I do, actually. Being overseas has no bearing on whether or not you qualify. As long as you're a taxpayer with a Social Security number, my kids got Social Security numbers. They're taken care of by me. Well, you say there doesn't have to be a vaccine to move on. I'm not saying that a vaccine is the only thing that's going to help people move on. But things will never go back to normal, even if there is a vaccine. What I'm saying is a vaccine would make things quite a bit easier to move on. And until then, think about something. Do you really want to go to restaurants and not wear a mask? I mean, okay, what's the wave of the future? There's going to be these desanitization gates. You're going to be wearing a mask. You're going to have to be using gel all the time when you're going into places and to clean yourself. You're going to have to wipe every place down. What is going to happen when they say, open up? People are still going to die from this. This is what I'm saying. People are going to die from this. Until there is a vaccine developed, people are going to keep dying. Now, the numbers are going to go down. I believe that. I do believe the numbers will go down. But people are going to keep dying. It's going to happen. And I don't know how much they're going to go down. Who knows? I mean, maybe there will be some kind of a herd immunity. Breaking news, Trump administration plans to end funding of test sites on Friday. I heard that, and right before I came on, I don't know, why would he do that? I think, isn't it going to the state? The states are going to have to do that from now on. Can't imagine feeling comfortable in crowds again. Well, you know what? That's what I was kind of thinking of. Are you going to go to a concert with 20,000 people, 10,000 people? You're going to go to a football game with 100,000 people or 80,000 people in the arena, in the stadium? I don't want to. Listen, I've been to China in the bird's nest, and there was 110,000 people. And I can tell you that even without a virus, it sucked. It really did suck. But you don't have to be in a stadium with 100,000 people. You can be with two people. You're with one other person. It doesn't matter. But if you look at, there was some 3D thing that was done. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head. But it showed how much, if you're in a confined area and you sneeze, just how much of the spray, where the spray goes and how it spreads. And it was pretty frightening. So if you've got a room full of people, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to work and you're going to be on a production line somewhere right next to somebody else who's, throwing the widgets in the little basket and you're grinding them up or whatever. I just can't see that happening. So, I don't know what the answer is or anything like that, but as Tony Soprano says, what are you going to do? That's the big thing. What are you going to do? We just have to wait it out and see what happens and hope that the medical professionals are right. I don't have a lot of faith. I'm not holding my breath thinking everything's going to be wonderful. I just, like I said, call me a pessimist. But I don't think that everything, here's the thing. What is, Trump always does this. Let me see if I can get my hands in the, he always goes like this. So here's the thing. He puts his hands like this. I don't know where he got that from. I think that we'll see if the herd immunity kicks in. I sure hope it does. But I think, honestly, without a vaccine, I think people are going to keep dying for the next year, 2 years. And who's to say that there ever will be a vaccine? Like I said, did they have a vaccine for SARS or MERS? No, but and they've pretty much stifled that. What was the rat one? What was the rat poo virus? Hanta. The Hanta virus. I mean, I don't know. I sure hope. I just look at it like, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? I understand people will be dying at a high rate from other things, but what I'm saying is this is a little different than, say, having a cardiovascular disease or something like that. I think this is different because in order for people to do business, they have to interact. In order for people to be social, they're going to have to go out. They're going to have to get on public transportation. And anybody who is vulnerable is going to be susceptible to this. I don't know if the herd immunity is going to work. That's been criticized quite a bit. In Sweden, they've tried to do that, and guess what? It hasn't worked very well. Sweden. Where's Sweden at? Sweden, 722 new cases yesterday, 793 total deaths, 106 new deaths. Now, I don't know what their population is, but I'm sure it's this is a very small percentage. And like I said, it's a small percentage of people that are dying considering all the people in the world. So what's the deal with this? Do we just, okay, we'll just open up, we'll just see what happens. And for all the places that I hear about the hospitals being overflowing and the nurses complaining about this and complaining about that, I feel for them. But there are a lot of places where the hospitals are not overflowing. They're not full. They're half full. There are places that the virus has not hit. Now, maybe that's not hit yet. I don't know. I mean, I try to look at it from all angles. As many angles as my little pea brain can figure out. But what I'd like to know is, why is the Trump administration planning to end the funding of testing sites on Friday? Today's Friday here, Friday morning, so that means that in the next 24 hours, he's going to do that. Y'all do realize once it's under control in several months, people will still be dying at a higher rate from many other things. People die. This is the thing. And sometimes I wonder, is there a value on life? I don't mean financially, but with the value placed on life in the United States, obviously there are places that don't value life nearly as much. Do we value it too much? Because, as I said the other day, I saw some video with the guy Dennis Prager talking about how Cuomo said something, if we can save one life, then it's all worth it. And he's like, no, are you kidding me? One life is not worth it. to shut down the whole economy. Now, obviously, one life may have been an exaggeration, but even saving, 100,000 lives, is this one of those things? And I hate to say this, but is this one of those uh, situations where you got to take one for the team? I want to know where to go in the worst case scenario. Yeah, I don't know where to go. People need to download the John Hopkins data to set their own to do their own calculations. Per capita, the U.S. is number 13 on the per 100,000 death rate. Forget about China with fraudulent data. Yeah, I don't. Listen, I made it very clear. I don't have a high opinion. In fact, I have about the worst opinion of any government than any other government. My opinion of the CCP is probably the worst of just about anywhere. Aside from a couple of African nations that I'm not going to get into, where their dictators are basically pillaging every bit of money that country raises. But still, I think the CCP on a larger basis is far worse than any other government. So, you can't trust anything that they say. Let me see something here. Anyway, I've been thinking about this, and my wife's been thinking about it. My kids think about it. Alex, he hasn't been out of the house I can't even remember the last time he went out. I think it was when the last day of his last day that he was in school, until they said, okay, now you're going to go home and you're going to have to be online, and that had to have been close to a month ago. So almost for a month, the kid has not been out, aside from being in our carport. It's been that long, and you just got to deal with it. That's like I told him, and he doesn't care. Nicholas, though, they're doing fine. They don't care. It's my wife who, is like, I got things to do. I'm like, you can't, and she knows that. So she's been grudgingly staying home. And me, I went out 3 times in a month, and every time I went directly to the grocery store, and I came directly back, because I don't want to die from this. And I know it's a long shot. I don't know if it's, is the chance of getting this less than getting hit by lightning? I don't know. I don't know the figures. But it isn't all that high. I hear all this, everybody's going to get infected at some point. Okay, maybe they are, but it may take years for everybody to get infected. Even as fast as this is going. I don't know. But like I said, Thailand's numbers have been relatively low. I think there was 54 new cases yesterday and 3 deaths. But there's still a relatively low number of tests that have taken place. I think it was 7,800. Let's see if I'm right here. Oh no, 7,800. Where did I get that from? 71,860 is the total number of tests, and the number of active cases has went down. 32 people have died in Thailand. Now, if you look at it that way, and if it doesn't get any worse, then Thailand's done a pretty good job of battening down the hatches and keeping people safe. And it's amazing to me, because I look outside and I see people, now they're starting to all wear masks. And I think people would get pissed off. Like I said the other day, I was on the Songtao when I did go out on that, and I did the video, and I went out on the Songtao. I did see a woman without a mask on. And she was sitting away from me across on the other side, and I had my mask on. I didn't touch her. She didn't cough. She didn't breathe on me. Nothing like that. But she was the only person that I saw the whole time, inside or out, that didn't have a mask on. So I think the Thais are taking it seriously, and it's starting to work. And then, there are various provinces that are cut off. Pattaya is pretty much shut down, and it will be until the end of the month. Maybe what's going to happen, at least here, is they will open up. They'll reopen up May 1st. I don't know. I'm guessing, and it's uncertainty. And I said that from the beginning. It's just complete uncertainty. They could open up May 1st, and then everything seems all right, and then all of a sudden people start keeling over, and they'll shut it right back down. Or they can do a partial opening, like people can go back and forth between provinces, and maybe they open up the borders for flights so people can come in. But I don't know. I think this is going to go on for, I would think, I don't know. I mean, every time I think about it, I go, well, maybe they'll open up at the end of May. I don't think that's really going to work. Maybe they'll open up at the end of the year. I heard yesterday from somebody, from a Thai, that they were saying that somebody in the government said this country is not going to open up for a good 6 months. And that's not good. And even my wife said, in 6 months, there's going to be people on the streets breaking in. There's going to be a lot more theft. There's going to be people. There's going to be people in dire need. And I don't know, how much the government can help them or is willing to help them, or I don't know what the actions would be. So you just have to kind of keep an eye on it. But yeah, I'm in the beginning I said I was a little bit concerned. I'm very concerned now, but as pessimistic as I sound, I still am optimistic that the majority of us will get through it. I don't know how. And that might sound a bit strange, that I think we're all going to, I think we're going to be okay. I thought that in the beginning, and I think it now. American Airlines stock was down $30 down to $9, up to $16, down to $9, and now it's $13. My thoughts. There's no stability right now. There's too much uncertainty. So if there's uncertainty in the world, and especially in the United States, listen, the president, if he turns right instead of left, and people thought he was going to turn left, then the stock goes down, and if he turns left and people thought he was going to turn right, then the stocks go up. So who's to know? I'm not an analyst. I don't know all that much about stocks. I think that things are not going to get back to normal for another year or two. I think write this year off. And I think there's going to be a lot of people. I was thinking about this, and Longhorns, maybe you can enlighten me. But I believe that there's going to be a large number of people who are going to suffer some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder, whether they know it or not, just from the stress of feeding their families every day, keeping the lights on every day. I don't know. But I'd like to know. I'm wondering about that because when this first happened, I read that this would cut down the lifespan of some people by about 10 years, that's a lot. You're going to take a decade away from me? I don't have much longer to go then. You know what I mean? If I was going to live to be 75, well, now I only got to 65. I hope that's not true. I hope it's not accurate. I hope I can just have a positive PMA, baby, positive mental attitude, and not worry about this too much. But, I worry now. What I worry about is, my kids, and what I was thinking of yesterday is I don't want to be the guy who's in the ward, the virus ward. My family can't see me aside from, a video line call or something like that. And maybe I die that way. And they got to live with that. And I don't have to live with it, but I got to die with that. And then they got to go on. And then what kind of world is there going to be for my family in the future? You know, I mean, it's just you just got to say, we're going to take 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time. Just stay inside, stay away from it, and I've said this about many things before, and I've said it about men with their women. Don't give in too quickly. Don't say yes too quickly. Don't believe everything too quickly. Just kind of let things settle and let the hand unfold. Let the person's hand unfold. Let them show their cards. Let's see what happens, but it takes a little time. It's not going to happen overnight. And unfortunately, every day that goes by is a day that a lot of people are out of work, they're not making money, that kind of thing. So a lot to think about. But anyway, this stream has run its course, and it is time to bid you adieu. Say goodbye. So please, everybody, stay safe. Stay inside. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all the purchases and contributions that you guys have made, even in this hard time. I mean, really, it's. I know that there's probably some people out there that are wondering, hey, man, when am I going to get back to work? I really got to get back to work. A lot of people, they're not. We're not. Most of us are not celebrities who can stay in $1 million mansions and not have to worry about it, because the house is paid for and you got enough food and money to where you really don't have to worry about anything unless you go out. So if you have yet to scream, if you have yet to subscribe, please do so. Please make sure to click the bell so that you get notified when I'll be streaming or a video goes up. Click like, click share. If you like what I'm doing, then just take a look in the description. There's numerous ways you can help, whether it be financially or otherwise. The next stream is Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Bangkok time. Thank you very much, Charles. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Wow. All right. I didn't get shut out today. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Every little bit helps, man, So, there is some merchandise. If you guys want merchandise, I got some shirts, some cups, and stuff like that. You can always if you need, like I always say, if you need toilet paper, if you need hand sanitizer, whatever, you can always go to the Amazon link in the description. And, you're going to get it. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and I make a few cents off it, so it does help. Every little bit helps everywhere. Yes, it's hard for me to believe that, he's gone. He's a good dude, man. He was always very, very good to me, very generous, very polite. He was a gentleman, and I like that. I like that. I like that about him. And he was older than I was, and it's like I enjoyed listening to him because he had some wisdom. He wasn't some young kid coming in trying to tell me everything about Thailand when he didn't really know shit. I really liked that about him, and he was a lot of fun, and I hung out with him, with Rob, and also with my friend Steve from Steve's Kitchen on YouTube. And we had a lot of good conversations. We talked about a lot of subject and everything. And I'm very sad to see that he's gone. I really don't even care about his YouTube videos. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who do, but I really enjoyed the time just sitting there having a coffee with him and shooting the shit with him. That was what was cool. So, anyway, time to go. So let me just play a little song here. And we'll get out of here. I don't want to play too loud. All right. Thank you very much. Time to say goodbye. Later, guys.